also can have ideas, but you also have to work on the skill. And the skill is the hard part, because like even like this whole setup, you know what I mean? Like I did this stuff myself, and I don't even like I never knew how to do this like a year ago, but because I was so passionate about what I want to do, I was able to put in like the time and work to do that. Welcome to Everything Young and More, the podcast. This is where we bridge the gap between the older generation, the new generation, us, and the younger generation. You feel me? I know you're probably asking yourself, what is this podcast about? What are they trying to do? And that's why I brought my good friend who's going to be interviewing me to figure out what this podcast is about. And that good friend is
Mr. Philip. How you doing today, Tony?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to be here.
I am so excited to be here. I'm top. I'm just ready to discover what this podcast is about.
Yes, sir.
And we'll just get right into it. So before we define the podcast, do you want to highlight your story, or should we just first define Everything Young and More?
I think it's best. Yeah, we can start. We can start with my story.
With your story?
How far do you want me to go back?
How far do I want you to go back?
Yeah.
I want you to start from where... just the beginning, where things started to click, or where, okay, instead of what, where, in terms of your mental awareness, you were like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is Tony. Where did it all start?
Well, I think it started in Eldoret, Kenya. You know what I mean? All the way from Africa, where I was born. I was in Africa, in Kenya, until I was about 12. Grew up there, went to school there for, I think, up to 4th or 3rd grade. My life was good, can't complain. Then a bunch of things happened and changed my story. And I'm now in the States. I've been here for, I've been here for like, I think 14, 13 years, something like that.
Wow.
Went to school here, I started elementary in the States. Well, I finished 5th grade there, and then I went to middle school, started fresh. Then I graduated at Cordova High in 2016, and then I took a gap year, and then went back to school for film. But I basically create now. You know what I mean? Like I see things in my head, and then I just make them like happen. Yeah, I don't know if that's a little gist of like what my story is about.
Yeah, that is what I was looking for. Now we can go into details in terms of how do you see whatever you see in your mind and translate it into content that we're able to watch. And to be more specific, we can talk about the different shows you've created, or the different moments of joy you've created through photos. And just tell us a little bit on how do you translate whatever it is that you see in your mind into reality, or how do you capture that and share it with the audience, because we're not in your mind.
Right. I think that's a good question, actually. Yeah, first of all, for those who don't know, I'm a photographer and videographer. I've been doing this, I think, right after I graduated high school, so 2016-ish is when I started, 2015-ish. But I started as a hobby, just taking photos at church, doing youth stuff, creating promos for church and whatnot, and then graduated to like, I kind of like this. So I took a media class in high school, my senior year, and it was like, cool, man. I wish I took it earlier, because I think I could have been farther, because I only took it my last year only, because I couldn't join halfway through my junior year. But that helped me out, and then I also had a mentor who kind of helped me be better at video. And then as I was growing, I've always been like, I don't want to, toot my horn, but I've always been like funny. So I always knew like I was entertaining, and I wanted to do something with that. And the fact that I could create videos and I could create like photos, like I was like, I feel like I can merge these two and then put my stuff out there to a bigger audience. Because like, if you're just doing something even in church, it's only limited to church. But if you put it on social media, then you don't know how far it can go, type of thing. So I started shooting so I started doing photos as a hobby, started doing videos at different events and stuff like that to make money. But then after some point, I think in 2016, I wanted to create something that is more me, that shows like my funny side, and then also my video side. So I created Cheka2 TV, which is a Kenyan entertainment show that it was basically for bringing like-minded people together that also are funny, and then creating sketches and stuff like that. And we did pretty good, man. We I think to date we have like 7 million views or something like that. It grew, but then at the same time, it wasn't. I needed something that could also help me with as I was growing. My budget was also growing. So with Picha Fine Production, which is what I do for work, that's when I started getting more gigs, like in state and out of state, and then I just started, growing, and it's pretty big. Like right now, we're shooting in my studio, and this garage, it's in the garage, right? But I envisioned that. That's another thing you asked me, but I envisioned that. When we used to live in an apartment, like I used to wonder, like, man, I want to move to a house where I can turn the whole garage into a studio. And thankfully, man, God gave me the right type of parents that they agreed. You know what I mean? My mom used to ask me, are you using half of the garage, or are you going to be using the whole garage? Man, as you can see, I got the whole studio set up in here.
That's how you are able to turn what you see.
Yeah, what I see in my head,
in your mind.
Yeah,
into what audiences can.
Yeah. So and I thank God, because I always see, like, it's like when you see something, like I'm somebody who likes to try and use what I have in me first, before I can like think about getting a job maybe or something else, because I'm like, what else can I do, like in this generation or now, that can help me like be better and not have to work for somebody else, but like work from my mind. And I think God gives me those things, because I don't know how, to be honest, like they come, but when I follow those, and it's not easy, by the way. That's one thing I want to say. It's not easy, because when it's like you're really moving on faith. It's literally faith. Like when you imagine like where you see something and you're trying to follow it, and you don't know if you're ever gonna make money from that. Same thing with this podcast. Like I just saw this is like in 2017. Like I wanted to do something that has to do with young people and things that we are facing especially in the States and anywhere, basically, as young people, as we're growing, because whether you're in Africa, whether you're wherever you are, like we're facing similar challenges now, especially that we're all connected through social media. So I came up with like an idea. I was like, I don't know what I want to do with the young people. And with time, I was able to figure out like I wanted to do a podcast, and then I called it Everything Young and More. Everything Young and More.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
Yeah, man.
Everything Young and More.
Yeah, and the more part is like you don't know what else it can lead to. So just leaving that right there.
There's no limit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to go back to something you mentioned. Taking photos, or you took a media class in high school.
Correct.
How are you able to turn your hobby into your career? And the other thing you can maybe talk about is, was that your passion? Was your hobby your passion? Because sometimes most of us have hobbies that don't often translate into being paid, or into being a professional career. So maybe you can highlight, was that a passion, or was it a hobby? I don't know where you want to go with that, but
yeah,
because most of us have hobbies, but we're not able to create it into this.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very okay. The way I would put it is like I feel like when it comes to taking photos or doing photos, it started out as a hobby, because I just found a camera.
So natural. It's
yeah,
just natural
and even started doing like before even that, I started doing sketches with my mom's little camera that she used to have that used to come out, and I was like, I just picked it up, and then I just started using it, and it was like a hobby, like, and the way it came up, actually, I think most people don't know this, but I learned, like I got interested when there was a girl that we used to live with. Her name is Mercy. She came to like the sitting room one time, and she had made like a slideshow on iMovie or Movie Maker, because it was a HP laptop, and she made a slideshow with just photos. Like they would just transition from one photo to another. It was nothing crazy, but for me, I was like, man, this is so cool. Like I wish I can do that. And then I went and got my mom's laptop, and then I just started doing that stuff on there, just playing around and putting pictures together, because we had a camera too, and we had taken photos, so I put them in there, and then it just started sliding, and then I think that's how it went to like church, and then I just started doing that. But I think that was more of a hobby, but my passion, I think was entertainment. Like I was more interested in the entertainment.
Is it the telling the jokes part or making people laugh, or what do you mean?
Yeah,
by
I think
entertainment?
I think by the joy, like because sometimes like I'm not even gonna lie to you, like I don't even know how I'm funny. Like you know how I can't tell you how
And
I'm
that's
funny.
natural.
You know what I mean? Because I will say something and then people would laugh,
yeah.
but then I'll be like, how is that funny? Like you know what I mean? So, but then I was like, if people are happy, like I want to be doing that because like that's a cool thing, cool effect, and then that's how I think I combined my hobby and my passion, and then I went with that. Yeah, and then I think after some point, like doing photography, doing videos, like became a passion, but it didn't start out like that.
Okay,
it started out as a
hobby.
And then after that, that's when actually people started telling me I should charge. Like I never thought about, I never even, because nobody taught me about charging. Like there was no one I was looking up to at the time. So it's like, as I was going, it got to points where I was going with like my mom's car, and then I wasn't filling up her gas, right? So I was just using her gas to take to move around. And then it was like, hey, she was always on E, but she would put gas and then I would drop it on E, and I wasn't even getting paid either. So people are like, oh, you should start charging people, at least, ask for gas and whatnot. And that's how I started. I started asking people for gas, 30, 20, whatever. My first photo shoots, I used to charge $30, and that's how I think it became a career. And I just kept growing, kept buying equipment, kept learning, kept paying for courses and stuff like that. And it just keeps going, like, and even to where I built this like studio. Yeah.
Okay. I have a trick question for you. This is a trick question. Drink some water. Because you talked about taking videos and doing photos as being a hobby.
Right.
And you also talked about your natural gift, which is making people laugh, creating moments of just joy and encounter. So do you have to put in okay. My question is, do you have to try to be funny, or did you put a lot of effort in trying to become the producer that you are?
I think the funny part is more natural.
Okay.
It's more natural, but the other but with photography and videography, I also want to kind of say it started like there's some natural aspects of it, but also you have to put in a lot of work because it's more mental, more mechanical, more like, what does this do, that do, Whereas for jokes, I just have to talk to you and it just comes out like that. Like I don't need anything else other than me to do that. Okay. But the other stuff, like you need a camera, you need it gets a bit technical.
The process.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why I was asking is because sometimes we're given multiple gifts, but sometimes one gift is more natural. But you have to now build skill. And that's where I was going with the question.
Yeah.
And building skill takes time, but it's a skill that gets you paid.
Yeah.
And you being able to have that platform. So I want to talk about how you're able to now create a platform that you're able to tell your story in terms of Chekatu TV, in terms of the things you're doing. And to let even young people understand that just because you have a gift, that it doesn't mean that you're not able to build skills fast.
Yeah.
To be able to express a gift, because it's through building that platform that you're able to now express even your gifts.
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe highlight a little bit on how you are able to. I don't know if you knew about this, but it's more of like a combination between your natural element and the skill part.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people understand the process it takes where, okay, now you're funny, but you still need to learn how to be a producer.
Yeah.
You still need to learn how to be a director at your own pace or at your own cost.
Yeah.
So maybe you can share the how you're able to discover, because you're even when you're doing the checker too, you're also a director too, and you're also writing the script.
Right.
So you're playing so many roles that you might not be aware that most of us struggle. Yeah. To become that, and you're also the CEO. Yeah. So,
well, dude, I think it's passion. To be honest, I think it's passion and just persistence. You know what I mean? Like I think I'm very persistent, and I'll give you an example. Like for example, if I was just funny. Yes. And I wanted people to see what I was creating, like, and I didn't have the video aspect of it, then I wouldn't be able to push anything out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I look at it like nowadays, like, see, even this platform, I think it's pretty nice. I think we need it.
Yes.
You know, where we talk about different things that young people are struggling with and actually try to make a difference. Because most people talk about what they want to do for the young people, what they want to, like what they think we should be doing and whatnot. But like nobody's doing anything about that. But
Yes.
the way I look at it is like I'm gifted in the video area, so I can be able to create this, right?
Yeah.
Because I have the skills. So my passion for wanting to create something better allows me to even work on my skills. And like these podcast equipments, like, you know what I mean? Getting these things, like, I didn't even know how they work. I had to reach out to somebody who knows better than me. They gave me the budget and they sent me the equipment and let me know like how much it costs and all that stuff. And I went for it because I was so passionate about what I'm trying to do. So it's like you also can have ideas, but you also have to work on the skill. And the skill is the hard part, because like even like this whole setup, you know what I mean? Like I did this stuff myself, and I don't even like, I never knew how to do this like a year ago, but because I was so passionate about what I want to do, I was able to put in like, you know, the time and work to do that.
And so is that what is inspiring you, or is that what is fueling you? What is fueling you to just continue either saying, okay, because you talked about this podcast, it's bridging the gap, because you're bridging the gap between what you see in your mind and the reality of what you're creating and producing.
Yeah.
So what's fueling you to be able to say, okay, I want to start this and I will learn A, B, C, D to be able to do this?
Yeah.
Or you can even take it the other direction. What is inspiring you to create at a high level and just pay the price?
I think it's impact, man. Like I've looked into it, because I try to look at stuff. I try not to do like everything that I do for money. Yes. You know what I mean? Because I always look at it, I'm like, if I'm doing something that I'm not being paid for, it means like I can be able to do that stuff even when I'm not being paid for. It means I love what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Okay. So, and I think that's what I look at. I'm like, with this platform, I think, especially if we have more people that come on here, and because sometimes I don't know everything.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody might come here and say something and I'll be like, oh, dude, that's so dope. Like, you've helped me in a way like I never knew. So I want to have that impact on other people's lives. You know what I mean? And I also want to be able to talk about the things that that have happened to me that I don't like, that somebody else doesn't have to go through. So I think that the passion and the impact of that I want to create or leave behind at some point just makes me like, because like today we woke up at like 6, you know what I mean? Wow. 6 a.m. to just come and shoot this. Ooh. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, like we could have done this during the day, but it's like, no, we needed to do it because this is what the time that worked for us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we can have so many excuses, but when you are so driven and you're so focused in what you want to achieve, it's hard to do that. It's hard to just sleep and not, you know, come out here and for us to shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said about impact. So I'm going to ask this question backwards. Who impacted you the most, or who created that impact for you?
Yeah.
When you were younger or currently, who inspires you? So, because you want to pay it forward. And because now you want to impact other people. And younger people are going to say, hey, Tony inspires me.
Yeah.
Or Tony has created such an impact in me through this content.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, who as Tony, who has impacted you? Or
dude, I think that's a very hard question, first of all, because I can't really say it's one person.
Okay.
The way I look at it is like, so many people have poured into my life. You know, so many people have like kind of like held my hand as I came up, like, and it would sometimes be seasonal. Like for certain season, I'll be with somebody, and then I'll go to like the next level, and I'm with somebody, and I still never burned any of the bridges with any of them. But
that's a good thing.
Yeah, so like I'm cool with everybody. But I would say, it's a lot of people from, you know, like my parents, from you, like, you know, you were talking about, you taught us how to like write our vision and how to write things down, and I still do that too today. Like with everything in every aspect of my life, like I write stuff what I want to achieve in short-term goals, long-term goals. And the funny thing is, once I focus on those things, like they always happen. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Jason was my mentor in video when I was starting out. So he's done that for me. And if I go on with the list, like it'd be just so many people. The people who've supported me like financially, you know. The people who just like believe in what I'm doing and like want to be part of that and they don't want anything from that. and it just helped me. Like, so, and it's the list is long, dude. I think, and I think that's why it's easier for me to keep going, because when you have so many people like kind of wanting to see you win, and they don't like want to get anything from that, it's hard for you to stop. Because I remember like Jason one time, he was doing so much for me, where he was taking me on gigs, and then he was paying me too. And then I asked him, like, I don't know, what can I do for you, dude? Like, I don't know, how can I pay you? He said, you don't need to pay me, dude. Just go be successful. Like, that's what he said. And I was young too at the time, but I still understood what he meant, you know?
Yeah.
So stuff like that like drives me.
That's I want to highlight that a little bit, how somebody, I don't know if they bridged the gap for you in that sense, because they how you're paying them is by being successful. And talk about how that is significant, because sometimes, as we've talked about, you have the hobby, you have the passion,
Yeah.
but we just don't have any guidance. And maybe you can highlight how having somebody who is there to mentor you or guide you or channel your passion,
Yeah.
so that they can help you just accomplish your goals, or even you can take it the direction of how you're able to surround yourself with people who see this thing about you, and they are willing to support you, whether it's time,
Yeah.
whether it's giving you advice,
Yeah.
whether it's financial. And I think Jason did a lot of that.
Yeah.
But maybe for the audience,
Yeah.
the significance of getting some sort of guidance or support.
Yeah, I really believe it's very important to have a mentor. I never really had a full-time mentor. Like, I never really had that, but I know how important it is, because that's one thing I wish like I had in my life, because I always feel like I would be farther than I am right now. But having Jason there, you know, kind of holding my hand and whatnot, like, did push me to like the next level. Like, he did so much for me. He even used to let me like borrow his cameras and stuff like that. So I feel like for anybody who is coming up, if you can find somebody that's already doing what you want, if you can find like a mentor or somebody older than you that's willing to help you, and you also have to be willing to listen.
Yeah,
Because a lot of us, bro, like a lot of us,
we think we know.
can you imagine, man? Like you having somebody help you and you're telling them what you think, like dude, relax, you know, and they're way older than you. So that's one thing I've seen with our generation is we just like to we are getting helped, but we're telling them how they should help us.
How they should help us,
you know. So I would encourage people to just listen and be under like, being under.
How were you able to navigate that?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Were you how are you able to stay humble and just be like, okay, you know what? I'm a student right now.
I look at one thing about me, by the way. Another reason I do what I do or do certain things in certain ways is I look at like how it worked for other people. Like if somebody you hear all these football players and whatnot like that became millionaires and then they went broke or something happened to them, and I'm like, if that happened to them, like I don't want to go through that. And if it just means listening to like somebody else that's telling me what is good for me, then I'll listen. Like if it means listening to my parents, if you listening, it means listening to people that know more than me. Like, cause I really believe, I'm a believer in like this concept of where if somebody knows better than me, doesn't matter if my idea is good or it's not, I'm going with the idea because I want to be better than I was yesterday. Yeah. Nice. So I would tell people to think like that, to be more of a listener, more of a like, don't always think you know everything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And maybe highlight, because we're talking about this generation. And let's just be straight to the point. These days, people are not pursuing knowledge or pursuing mentors.
Yeah.
They want the mentors to pursue them, and it doesn't work like that. Like for you, you had to surround yourself and go where Jason was.
Yeah.
To see how he's producing or how he's creating.
Yeah.
And because successful people are so busy.
Yeah.
So how did you know at a young age you need to surround yourself or you need to pursue that person? Because sometimes in this, that can be a key for somebody who doesn't understand. Don't just stay home. Like go pursue somebody successful in that field.
I think that's a good question. But I think knowing what you want and then knowing somebody else has kind of done what you want, it's kind of like a no-brainer. Like if I want to be like Philip or what Philip is doing, if I want to get to where he's at, it's only best that I come to you
Yes.
to learn that, because first of all, the journey that I'm taking, no one else has ever taken,
That's
and
true.
it's probably so different than what you're taking.
Mhm.
But you know certain things that are probably 50% of what I need
Yeah.
to get to that level. You know what I mean? So if I want to be at that level, then I'm gonna come to Philip no matter
Yes.
what. Sometimes even with Jason, dude, I used to think I'm bothering him. Like I would text
Mm.
him, I would feel bad, but then I'm like, if I don't do it, dude, like
You won't
I
be
don't
able
know
to-
how else
That's
I'm gonna
true.
be able to do it.
Yes,
You know?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
true.
And he has a big heart too, so he was helpful. Him and his family.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then and then we can move on to the next topic.
Mm-hmm.
Does having a mentor save you time?
Does having a mentor save you time? Yes, a lot of time.
Or do you wanna because I feel like for your journey you
Mhm.
didn't do a lot of experimenting. You knew what you wanted.
Yeah.
You pursued it and you didn't waste time.
Yeah, I think having a mentor does save you a lot of time, because you kind of it shortcuts you, or it doesn't really short, like it helps you.
Yeah.
Is
Sure.
that what it is?
Yeah, it's a short. You don't. They
Ye-
say mentorship is learning through somebody else's pain.
Yeah.
So you're getting a shortcut.
Yeah, and I think that's where it shortens your having to try so many things.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast too. And I'm not trying to call myself a mentor,
Mm.
but I'm trying to, like, what I've gone through,
Influencer.
what I've gone through, like that wasn't good or was good.
Mhm.
Like I want to be able to pass that to somebody else so they don't have to go through the same things. You get what I mean?
Mhm.
And then that's why I'm gonna be having people like you come here and then share certain things that I probably liked that we talked about. Maybe we had a conversation and I was like, bro, this is good for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what, we should put it out and put it out for other people too. So yeah.
Mm. Young generation, current generation,
Mm-hmm.
pursue mentorship because number one, it's gonna save you time. Number two, it's a shortcut. You don't have to go through the same pain somebody else went through, whether it's your parents,
Mm-hmm.
professional careers. Pursue them
Yeah.
constantly. Now, I want to talk about generosity or your giving back because you do a lot of giving back in terms of your resources.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these things that you own now in terms of equipment,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of platforms, I see you just going and giving people some of your time
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even charge them.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to go specifically and just share about your giving because I know you do a lot of giving and I would like you to highlight that because it's important in terms
Yeah.
of your character.
When it comes to the concept of giving back, I believe in that, because even when I started doing photos and videos, like I said, I started as a hobby. I never got into it to make money from it. So the way I look at it is like, if I have stuff, obviously I have to eat, you know what I mean? I don't try to,
sure.
they got to differentiate the
Yeah.
business and what I do. But like, sometimes I look at it like some people want to do certain projects, but they don't have the funds for it. You know what I mean? And I look at myself at some point, like I wanted to do certain projects and I didn't have the funds. I didn't have the equipment. So I decided to just give my time. I give my equipment, I give my knowledge and like what I know. Even people who are starting out, like that's something I used to ask people. I would DM people and try to figure out like, how can I do certain things on the camera, and they would like leave me on red and whatnot. And it made me feel a certain way, dude, that, I would hate for anyone else to have to go feel the same type of way. So that's why I give, man. I give at my church. I give at like the foundation, the Burn Foundation. I do the videos. So many other things, like even personal projects, personal events that people have. If I believe in the cause, like I'm not gonna charge you. I'm gonna do it, or I'm gonna charge you a lower cause. Only when I believe in like whatever you're doing. It's not everything. Yeah, because I really believe in like giving back always. Mm-hmm.
That's important. I feel like it kind of it's more it creates its own momentum in terms of it's like a domino effect where it's like you set up the next person for success. And it's nice to hear that you're able to give back.
Yeah.
And you're able to be so vocal about it. Because sometimes when people get success, to be honest, they don't want to be disturbed, though. They're like,
D&D. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? I know we talked about impact.
Yeah.
Talked about what inspired you and your passion.
Yeah.
And now I want to ask you, what take us into your legacy as Tony?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave for this generation or even your kids?
Yeah.
It could go either way.
I want to leave a legacy where it's like I was known, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm known as a doer,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who goes after what they want, somebody who is not afraid to like try different ideas, like see where it takes them. And I also don't want to be. I want to be known as that guy who didn't have any excuses, like because even when I was starting my journey or with whatever I've been doing, I never knew where it was gonna take me. I never knew how, because it wasn't easy and stuff like that. But I never wanted to be that guy who gave up, in trying to follow their dreams. You know what I mean? And I still don't know where it's taking me. I still am not where I want to be at. But I believe in it. You know what I mean? I believe in it, and I want to be able to leave that, even for my kids, to be able to know, like, dude, you should believe in yourself. Like, you can be anything you want. Like, and I love it, like, when Kanye says that, like, dude, like, it's so true. Like, if you just keep and you stay focused, like, you can do that. So I want to be known as that guy who went after things, like, even if it took time. Like, I was persistent, like, you know what I mean? I want to be known as somebody who made an impact with, like, the things that I do, like with this podcast, with all the other things that I would do, and even just changing people's lives or their mindset. That's one thing I want to do, is just if I can just change your mindset, because that's what happened to me. Like, my mindset is like, I have a winning mindset. I don't have a survivor mindset versus a victim mindset. You know what I mean? I went through so much, as a kid, so many surgeries and stuff like that. And I've never, especially after I joined the Lisa Ann Rushburn Foundation, when they changed our idea of thinking of ourselves as victims and survivors, like, dude, my mindset is like that. So even when I hear the word victim, I'm like, bro, I don't want to be part of that, and I want to be known as that guy who changed people's mindset to survivors and people who are thriving and just kept going with that and made a difference, basically.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I wanted to maybe go deeper into mindset. How do you give us a journey of where you started in terms of your mindset to where you are now in terms of your mindset, and to, are you at the level that you want to be, or there's still, and how did you, because this the podcast is to bridge a gap.
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk about that process of being able to, in terms of mindset level, because to be successful at anything, there's also that mental aspect, or as we talk about it, the psychological aspect of it, not just the reality. So
wow, I don't know where I started, but I know it wasn't where I'm at, because I think I think you start knowing yourself, or kind of getting an idea of, because I think the memories I have of myself is when I was like, I think 6, 7, 8, like there on. And then, like, I don't remember even what I was like I would think about most of the time. But at some point when I was, I think, in middle school is when I used to just ask myself, like, what do I want to do when I graduate? What do I want to, like, started asking myself questions. Started asking myself, like, what do I like? You know what I mean? How do I translate that, like, into, so people know, like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, that type of thing. That's when my mindset, like, just started working. And then at some point, I think when I started now doing videos and photos, and where I started learning, like, and even just being self-employed, like, I need a lot of faith. That's when I had to have a positive mindset. Like, I'm gonna get work, I'm gonna be able to stand out and stuff like that.
Positive mindset when you started your business, or was that before the self-employed?
I mean, I'm sure it was before, but the reason I remember most of it is because that's when I needed that mindset, when I started my business. So that one, it sounds like recent, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh man, all my friends are going to universities, all my friends are graduating and doing, they want to, like, study, like, some stuff that I can't even pronounce, man. So I'm like, dude, like, I don't know what else, but I got to be positive that I'm going to make it. I got to be positive that one day I remember, like, I was 18 talking about, I'm going to be positive. I want to have a house at 22, and my mindset believed that. My mindset was like, we're going to do it. I'm 25. I'm turning 25 now. And I really believe this is the year that I don't want to jinx it, but I really believe that's when it's going to happen. But I believe that from a very young age. And I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that. So, and it challenged so many other parts of my life itself, you know what I mean? And now you ask, is it like where I want, like I should be, or no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because sometimes I think now it's even like, I don't want to say it's off, because sometimes I have negative thoughts that come in, because I think I'm in a time in my life where there's so much happening. You know what I mean? There's so much happening. At the same time, and it's overwhelming. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes like I start having like, is it anxiety or stuff like that, and it affects me like physically. Yeah. You know, even like lately, like I've been experiencing that, but I think it's just because there's so much on my plate. And so sometimes the negative aspect comes in, and it's like, dude, I don't think we're gonna do it, or if let's do one thing maybe and leave the other thing, and then you're like, man, it's gonna take another year before we get the other thing. Can we try to do it? So you get that, but my positive mindset, my positive attributes that of looking back for the things that I was like positive about that I was gonna do, kind of helped me. I'm like, bro, if we did this and we didn't know we were gonna do it, and it worked out. You. Yeah, and you keep going. So I think that's where I'm at. I'm at like where I'm battling myself to which one is going to stay on top, but the positive one is winning because of everything that I've been able to do. Is showing me that I can do that, and I'm believing that, and just applying a lot of faith, man. A lot of faith. A lot of faith.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
For this podcast, we're informing and also giving people advice. So for your mindset, can you tell us maybe like a routine in terms of are you doing books now? What is it that is sharpening you and helping you stay focused or stay positive? Because there's the ups and downs. Yeah. So how are you able to bounce back quick? What is it that you do, or give us a little?
I think that's a good question, bro. Yeah. I think wanting to be better, to do better is what helps me. So, and then if I want to be better and I'm hearing like reading books is the way, and somebody recommends like a book, like I'm going to be doing that. So I've been reading a book, you're teaching the young adult class at our church. And so those books, like I've been going at them. And for example, like I'm in a phase where I'm working on getting married. So you recommended a book that I should be reading, Dear Future Wife. Then I was like, why would I just read this by myself too? Like I'm going to be reading, that's the next book that I'm going to be reading with my girlfriend. Because I want to be better. I want to have a better relationship, so I'm going to be tapping into that. Also, I work out, you know what I mean? Because with the work that I do, like I can be shooting today and then like not shoot like the rest of the day, or I can be doing a wedding and then I'm behind the computer like throughout the day. So I'm like, if I just continue like that, I'm just going to be lazy, or my body's not going to be flexible as much. So I'm doing my best to be consistent, at least hit the gym like Monday through Friday, even if I'm just going to go and walk. But just wanting to be better is like what drives me in that sense. Mental, like, to just keep going and figuring out what better ways. Like I'm even trying like cold showers now, but I also like to try things that also successful people have talked about that work for them, and I'm like, because it's like they're giving us free game, just the same way we're talking about this to give somebody else free game. I actually try and implement those things in my life. And one thing I try to do is like, sometimes I'm not consistent with it, but I'm also telling myself it's a new thing, and just like I think you said it, like you learn by repetition. So I'm also trying to just repeat and put in my reps until I become good at it, because it's something new to me. And I try not to beat myself these days like I used to before. Like, why can't I get this? Why can't I read a book and like stay consistent? And it's working. It's just a slowly progression, but I'm still moving to the right direction.
They say change is not an event, it's a process. So tell us about your process of creativity or element, and we can also, I'll ask the next question. As you're thinking about your creative process, we can also document or tell people how you're able to. The question I want to ask is the importance of writing things down, because sometimes you see things in your mind, but then, and it's a good idea, great idea, and as you said, if you don't write it down, sometimes it just fades away. Yeah. And you feel like you're not growing. Yeah. But talk about your creative process.
My creative process. Yes. I get ideas in my head from God. Because I don't know where they come from, man. I get ideas from God. I get a lot of inspiration too from people and what's going on in the world and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, what can I do that can be my own though? Because you don't want to copy somebody.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So, a lot of ideas, and then I'm like, how can I execute the ideas? That's where actually the most fascinating place is. Like, you can have ideas. All of us have ideas.
Yep.
But I'm always like, why? What can I do to actually actualize those ideas? And then that's when my mind, and I think that's why I can also be dealing with anxiety, because I tell my mind so much, man. Like I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. Thank you for bringing it up. But what can you do? Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Action plan.
Yeah, and then it comes down and it goes. It leads actually to your question, where I actually write it down. Like I said, with this podcast, I wrote this in 2017. You know what I mean? I wanted to do this podcast, and it's actualizing in 2022. That's like a 5-year difference. 5 years. But I wrote it down. You know what I mean? And I think that's why it's very important to write down. And I'll answer your question now here. Writing things down, because I'll give you a good example with like even budgets. Like last year, in the beginning of this year, I wrote down like a list of my budget of things that I wanted to buy, things that I wanted to pay for and whatnot, trips that I wanted to pay for. And I went down and wrote like a list of budget. And then I would go there and check it like every week. Whenever I got money, I would go there and then be like, oh, what should I put this towards? And kind of like that. And it was easier to translate like what was in my head about what I wanted to do to paper, then to actualizing it.
And then to
executing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I'm telling you, bro, that stuff works, man. Like, it's like, if you're not doing it, like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it actually works, bro, because I was able to, like, pay all those things, because it's easy to get money. And then somebody says, hey, let's go eat. And I go eat. But now when you have something, you're like, oh, I wrote this down. If I do that, it's going to affect this. Then I'm like, oh, I'm not this time or something like that. And it's with so many other things that I've been able to write. And I wish that everything that I've been working on, like even this year, and like this year's budget that I wrote, bro, I'm telling you, it's very high. But I believe it's really, like, the way it's working, it's crazy, man. It's like God was waiting for me to write it down so he can move. I don't know how that process works, but I would encourage people to write stuff down, especially your goals. And then, like, don't just write them down because I told you to write them down. Like, actually revisit them here and there, because sometimes I look at like the things I'm doing like 2 years later, and I'm like, bro, I wrote that down like 2 years ago. I don't even remember it, but I think my subconscious mind was like, oh, this guy's serious. We're gonna do that.
It's as you're saying, your subconscious is constantly doing things to manifest it.
Yeah. So I think that's writing things down. I believe in that. I think everyone should do it. It's very important. It's worked for me. I still write things to today, and I'll probably take that into the next phase of my life, man. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. Especially, I wish audiences can. Hopefully, you can post this, and they can see this idea. You wrote it down in 2017, and it's happening. And that's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
And part of this podcast is to also educate people and kind of give them a blueprint or a shortcut. Hey, write things down if you have a passion for it.
Yeah.
And I want to segue into the importance of having that inner circle. Because when you started, I've known you for a while. When you started, you don't have the same inner circle.
You're putting me on the spot, dude.
Okay, I mean, I don't.
No, but it's good. I don't mind it.
No, I don't want to put you on the spot, but the element I'm trying to say is, how did you? Okay? Do you still have the same circle that you started with, or for younger people watching? Because sometimes there's this quote that goes like this: if you're the smartest if you're the smartest one in your group, it's time to leave that group. And I feel like for you're going into new levels, and you're creating so much success, and the things that you're talking about, they're on another level. So talk about the importance of having that support group that is in sync with your vision, and it's not necessarily a personal thing, but you just sometimes you outgrow situations, and even as a CEO, because sometimes there's one thing that you said, that when you write things down and your friends come and be like, hey, let's go out and eat, and you're like, no, I don't want to go do that right now, 'cause I gotta put this money towards this vision. That takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, and most people won't understand, by the way, because it's always like, oh, you don't want to come and hang out with, like, like, oh, like the other day somebody texted me and asked me if we can go somewhere, and I said I can't right now because I'm about to go shoot and do something else. And they didn't reply to my message. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, and I'm okay with it because at first I used to be scared, man. You can even ask my dad, bro. I used to be so scared because I used to see, like, we're all growing. People are taking different routes and stuff like that. And I'd be like, my life is going to change. Like, I'm going to lose all my friends. Like, and no one wants that, man. No matter where, like, what part you're becoming successful, you're doing what. It's like, I want to hang out with my friends, man. I want to hang out with the guys like I was hanging out with. But, yeah, at some point, though, you start doing different things. Like maybe somebody's like life choices like that they're making doesn't go with what I'm trying to do. So it's like, do I want to come to that level or do I want to just keep going after and I'm a big believer in, like, God gives us all of us, like, something that we're supposed to do on this earth. You know what I mean? And if I'm following like you or trying to go with what you're doing, that means I'm not trying to figure out what God wants to do from, like, what's yourself. Yeah, man. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that drives me, dude. And I get I can be mentioning God here, and you're like, oh, this guy just keeps talking about God, but it's that deep, man. That's how much I believe in it. And having a circle that really believes in you is something different, because those people, like, especially in the type of line of work that I do. Like, I don't have guaranteed paychecks. That's I talk about these things, but they're actually real. So it's like, you're telling somebody about an idea and they're like, they have to believe in it, because otherwise it's like, we're doing what? We're investing in what? In his idea? Does he have, like, you're like, oh, he's not bringing much because he doesn't have a job. But it's the same thing with even my girlfriend. Like, I always talk to her about the ideas and plans that I have. And I'm like, how's she even going to believe that stuff? Like, it's like theory. When you're telling somebody theory and like, oh, I need to see the action. But she believes in that, and it gives me like some type of motivation. Even my parents, like, they believe in what I'm doing and they let me do it. It's like, when you have some, like, people backing you up, it's even for you to harder for you to fail, because like, they got me,
hold
like,
you accountable.
Worst case scenario, if something happens, I go bankrupt, I go broke, I'm gonna go back to my parents. They're not gonna be like, oh, son, you tried, let's try something else. My girlfriend, she'd be like, you tried, like, you know what I mean? That's not, and when people understand that, and if it's your closest people, dude, it's so powerful, because like, you can do anything that you want. And going back to, like, I don't hang out with the same people that I used to hang out with. Unfortunately, I don't, because, like, for me nowadays, even with my free time, like, you find me maybe like at church on Sundays, because on weekdays that's when I try to do my stuff, and then on Saturdays I have like events that I'm shooting. And then if, like, say for example, we used to go to church and hang out mostly there, and you're not coming, like, I'm not gonna go to where you're at, because I didn't change, like, where I was at, you know what I mean? And I don't have to do like what you're doing. And I think that's one thing we all have to just respect. Like, I've realized, like, people are gonna be offended by stuff like that, but it happens to everyone, dude. Even the greatest people, like, they talk about not hanging out with the same people they used to hang out with, and it's okay.
That's true.
It's scary, but it's okay.
And that speaks to your greatness. To be great, to be misunderstood.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Yeah. If everybody understands you, then you're still
you haven't figured it out.
You haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
But so let me just summarize, and then you can feel free to jump in clarifying anything.
Okay.
So you talked about your hobby.
Yes.
You talked about your passion, and how your passion is to entertain, bring joy. And in terms of your hobby, it's to take photos, produce contents in terms of the video side. Yeah. And then you're able to turn that into a platform that is also paying you to be able to do what you want in terms of whether sharing a story, and now in this place, creating a platform for everything young and more. And then at the same time, you're also doing giving back. Yeah. In terms of resources, knowledge, time, money. And that is very impactful. You also talked about your legacy. You also talked about your mindset. And then we also talked about the creative process with you. Yeah. So what is it that you want to leave the audience with that we don't know about Tony? And then I also have one question for you. Then that's a surprise question, but... Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should I answer the
first?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think what I would want to leave people with, and I think I'm going to try to make this like my life goal or something, is to have faith. You know what I'm saying?
Go deeper.
Bro, you need to have faith. You need to have faith. I literally, Philip, live by faith, bro. Like, I know it might sound far-fetched, but it's not. Like the things that I do, you ask me about my mindset, you ask me about how I think, how I'm able to execute stuff. It's all on faith, bro. Like, I don't know how to put it, but and what I mean by faith is like just believing that things will work out. Like, you know, sometimes it's like easy for you to believe the worst, and I'm telling, that's why right now I'm battling with that. It's easy for you to believe the worst, like, oh, the world is ending, the inflation is so up, on all these things, right? But to be able to believe the opposite, like, oh yeah, that stuff is happening, but I'm gonna be great. I'm not gonna fail. I'm gonna be successful. And I've learned, like, and this is something I've been meditating a lot, where God says it's so hard for you to please Him without faith. So all He's asking me is just have faith and believe in Him. And then also, you know, faith without action is dead. So don't just be saying like, I believe I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna be doing all these things. Those are just
action.
Yeah, you have to act. You have to be like, and this is another thing I'm gonna pair where God, you tell God to bless the work of your hands. You have to have something in your hands for God to bless. You know what I mean? That work. And that's why you can even become a millionaire, because God already sees that you're doing something, and He's going to bless that and allow you to become that millionaire, to become that whatever you want to become, because not everyone wants to be a millionaire. Somebody just wants to have a successful family, and that's okay, you know, but you have to believe that that's possible for you. And I'm not going to say too much, but that's it for today with that. Just faith, bro.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Tony. Young generation, rewind that, put that on your notes, write it down.
Yes, sir.
That's how you get to this level. The last question I had for you is, it's a surprise question.
Wow.
At the end of, when everything is said and done, do you want to be known more of as the person who was the writer, producer behind the screen, or do you want to be in front of the screen? So, so that's what I was asking you.
Go deeper with that question, bro.
Go deeper.
Yeah.
So for you, you have so many elements. I see you, you know, writing. You have this creative genius in a way. You write a lot of things.
Yeah.
In terms of producing things.
Yeah.
But that a lot of people don't know that you're the one who wrote that.
Yeah.
And then there's also the other side when we see you in front of the camera, where you are the person who's playing this character, or you're the one telling the jokes, or you're the one doing all these things.
Yeah.
So do you want to be known more of as, or maybe do you want to be known more for like your creative, like writing part, or the writing or the producer part, or the other part of your acting or your speaking to people, or your,
I think I get you.
You get what I'm saying? If you're like an actor, I would be asking you, or
Yeah.
if an actor would, because the actors would do both. So, and then when you hear them talk, they be like, actually enjoy the process of creating more than the process of acting or performing.
I feel like for me, I prefer being on the back.
On the back end. Okay.
But life pushes me to the front. Like it's so for example, let's say I want to be working on videos. I want to be doing photos. I want to be creating like this, everything young and more. I want to edit that stuff. I want to do all those things. You see, when those things become successful or they pop and something happens to the next level, I'm going to be forced to come to the front. Like, hey, who's doing that? Who's that guy? You know what I mean? But for me, I'm just trying to, like, you see, even with Chaka TV, it's just that I was funny and I needed to be in the video. But I wanted to, like I said, I created a channel to showcase people's gifts and stuff. But there's some things that maybe somebody couldn't deliver the way I could do it. Yes. So I'm forced to come to the front. But for me, I'm usually like, I'd rather be in the back. I'm like, if nobody knows like I did that, like I don't care. But sometimes, like, you know, when something, I think it's also God elevates you. Like, hey, come on, buddy, like come get some of this here. So I prefer being in the back. Okay. But I realize like life pushes me in front. Like as I continue to go and I become successful and these things happen, you know, people probably want to know like, how did you do it, or how are you doing that? And then you see, I'm gonna be forced to come to the front. To the front. Okay. Yeah. And the reason why I'm saying it's a trick question is because in order to be the CEO that you are, you have to love both. But a lot of people don't want to do the backside of it. Yeah. Where there's no shine, there's no light. Yeah. And that's what makes you great, because you're able to do both and you're comfortable in both spaces. Yeah. So that was the trick. Oh, man. Did I pass? You passed. You passed. Yeah. So this generation, everything young and more, I'm so excited to see
where it's gonna go. Tell us where you want this to be in the next 5 years, or
Yeah.
what's the vision right there? What is it that you see in your mind?
In the next 5 years.
Yeah, in the next 5 years.
To be honest, I just want to see that I made a difference.
Okay.
That we made a difference. Like everybody that sits on these chairs, wherever we'll be shooting from, that we made a difference in somebody else's life. You know what I mean? Like I want to see people's lives like changed and people's lives like different, because some people sat down and like shared like what they knew so far. You know, so I want to see that more applied in people's lives. You know, I wanna address all different aspects of lives that have challenged us young people, because bro, I think this phase that we're like between 20 or even like 60, bro, like even like 15, man.
Yeah.
I should probably even go back to like 12 to like, I don't know about 30, but like I'm about to be 25 to here. Dude, it's so tough, especially like in the States. But I know it's not just in the States. I'm only saying that because I've lived here. Yeah. When it's so tough and it's hard for, I mean, it's easy for people to like fail and get lost in drugs, alcohol, all this other stuff. But if I know somebody else who went through that phase and came out better, like I want to be able to like do the same thing that they did. And also if I can be able to share that and somebody's willing to do that, like I want to put that out there. I want to, because sometimes like I don't even know with this podcast, but I'll be thinking I'm probably gonna get like 100 views, you know what I mean? Like probably gonna be like 10 people watching, but I'm like, maybe someday somewhere somebody will stumble on one of the videos that are gonna be from this podcast, and they're gonna be amazed and like, wow, like this is like blueprint. This is a blueprint. This is a blueprint.
Blueprint Studios.
Yeah. And then that I can be able to use to kind of help me with my life. And I can always come back here and be like, oh, these people are saying that they struggled with this and they're here now. I can do that the same thing. So in 5 years, I just want to make sure, I want to make some sort of impact in people's lives.
So in 5 years, everything young and more will be the blueprint, or is a blueprint on how to succeed?
I don't want to put it like that, dude. That's a lot of pressure. It's something, man. It's something for somebody.
People will be coming here to get that blueprint or that plan.
Not really coming here to get, but also to give.
To give.
Yeah, to give.
Ways.
I think it's more so to give.
To give the blueprint.
Because I don't know everything, and even you don't know everything, and the next person I'm gonna interview doesn't know everything, but they know something that not all of us know. Wow. So they can be able to share that.
That's powerful. Please join, subscribe, comment, all of the above. Yeah. And thank you, Mr. Tony.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. Thank you for having me. Well, thank you so much for the trick question and whatnot. Wasn't expecting that. And obviously, thank you guys for watching this podcast. Did not know what Philip was gonna be asking me, so I was sweating a little bit because I didn't know where we're going. Yeah. But I hope you guys join us on this journey of posting. We're gonna be posting every week. We're gonna at least have 12 videos, promise, for you guys. Consistency. Every single week, a new video is gonna be dropping, addressing and tackling different areas and aspects of us young people. And if you feel like you have something that you can share with young people, please come sit here where Philip has been sitting, and then I'm going to be asking you questions at that time. So thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Let your families know what we're going to be having on here so that they can be anticipating. Stay anticipated.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tony.
Yes, sir.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you for the faith too.